You are listening to the CADDle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of ZenTek Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CADDle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the CADDle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from ZenTek Consultants. I am Jim, your irrevocably silly host, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco.
See, and Rocco is not silly enough, and that's why I must force you all to suffer through the engineering joke of the week. Okay, Rocco, ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right, what type of engineer has the most stressful job?
I don't know. What type?
Well, generally, electrical engineers are the most wired up. Huh? Oh, just so bad. So absolutely bad. All right, folks. We have a first-time guest on the show today, Corey Watson, who is the head estimator at A.S. Jones & Company Electrical Contractors, is here with us to talk about our ZenBidTracker tool and how he has been using it. So, Corey, man, we really appreciate you taking time to be with us today, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Been enjoying the software, so I'm glad to help out wherever I can.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. So I tell you what, before we get into the details of, ZenBidTracker, let's give Corey a chance to introduce himself, right, for you guys who don't know him. So Corey, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what A.S. Jones does, and how do you get to be the head estimator there?
Well, you get to be the head estimator here by being the only estimator.
See, that helps.
My name is Corey Watson. I work for a company, A.S. Jones. We're based out of Massachusetts, and we service all of New England. It's a family company. It was started in the 80s by Al Jones, and now Mike Jones, his son, runs it. We're kind of mid-sized contractor, electrical contractor, so we have 35 guys out in the field with pretty light on staff in the office. It's just 5 of us, including myself and the owner. And I started working here when I was a kid, as soon as I could get my worker's permit at 13 years old during the summers, and I worked straight through to getting my license at 24. And then I moved into the office for estimating. We had the only estimator was leaving, so I came in to fill that, that niche. And it's kind of evolved into a project management, materials procurement, pretty much anything the company needs now. So like jack of all trades within the office here.
Yeah, it's nice when you get to be into that, dependent tech position, right? When they know you, he'll figure it out.
Yeah. And it's nice to see the jobs all the way through. So
yeah, that's a fantastic thing, man. That's awesome. I didn't know you had been there for that long. That's great. I love that. So sometimes it can be really nice working for a family-owned company like that sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not a family, but I just kind of worked my way in here, so.
It all works. It's all good. All right, folks. So for all you guys listening who haven't heard us talk about it yet, ZenTek released a new tool we call our ZenBidTracker. And it's a software as a service, cloud-based system that lets you input all of your bid activity and track it, right? So you can see, what's due when and what's worked for you in the past and what hasn't been working for you and why are you losing jobs and why are you winning jobs? Like I said, it summarizes all of your win, your loss, your discounts that you had to put in, cost to close a job, right? And it tells you kind of, who your best and worst clients are, who your best and worst subs are. Yeah, it's a real simple tool for bidding. And it is meant for small to mid-sized contractors and GCs, right? Which is where Corey falls right in. And Corey was actually one of our first beta testers and probably one of our earliest full-time adopters of ZenBidTracker when we finally took it public. So Corey, I guess let's start with the why of things, right? What challenges did you have with your bidding process that kind of brought you to working with the ZenBidTracker?
So I'd say kind of just as a company, we operate at a very low indirect labor cost. So both here in the estimating office and the general office, we're very short staffed, and we didn't have the time dedicated to anybody to take all the information for the bids that went out and get them transferred to the next person and get them organized in a method where we could follow up and have the routine of following up with people. We knew we were missing opportunities, but we didn't have enough time to send out the next bid. So we weren't spending the time following up on the old bids. So I think our biggest challenge was just organization and time management when it came to this.
Yeah, and I got to think that's not uncommon, right? We hear that all the time, So.
No, and I think, another big challenge we had was like our bid accuracy. Because we weren't following up with the general contractors, we weren't getting any feedback, and we weren't even requesting feedback. So we had no idea about how our numbers stood up. We either won the job or we didn't win the job. We didn't know if they even won the job or if it went, So those are the things that we're kind of correcting with the ZenBidTracker now.
Awesome. Yeah, that's smart business there. I like that. So I tell you what, for you guys listening, right? Corey is a long-term client of ours here at ZenTek, and we knew about his struggles. And it's really kind of why we asked him to beta test for us, right? We knew that he was, the precise type of client that we were targeting, right? So we kind of wanted to incorporate like his needs and his feedback while we were developing the product. And it was really important to get features built in that were actual, day-to-day operational concerns for people who were working in that pre-construction phase, and not to just kind of go in and put into things that we as consultants thought people needed, right? So Corey, I'll do kind of a two-part question for you, right? So number one, how did we do on meeting your specific needs with ZenBidTracker, and kind of what feature in the program do you get the most benefit out of?
So, you guys definitely did very well with the software. I can definitely tell you guys were listening to me when I made a couple of comments during some of the meetings during the beta testing, because it's like verbatim on there. So I appreciate that. Awesome. It's great. The system's definitely geared more towards a general contractor with your features for the subcontractors and everything. So, you guys have this option for buyout profit, but any subcontractor knows it's not buyout profit for us. It's a buyout loss. So we're on the other end of that. So I'm thinking about incorporating that into a way of using it for lighting and gear purchase buyouts and stuff. So we're still trying to tweak it as much as we can on our end, but you guys did a really good job. And then, I think the feature that's best for us would be the top page, the bid tracker. Being able to just click over on the status and populate it in order of where the job is. So awarded, lost, on hold. I can go right down and see what jobs I haven't gotten any feedback on, and I can reach out to those people. The analytics is awesome. Good. If you asked me, 6 months ago what my win rate was, I probably would have said like 5 to 10%, but now I know like confidently I'm right around 18%. Okay. And then I think the client analytics is kind of, it's kind of eye-opening, looking at the clients that you have and seeing who's actually awarding you the most work. You might be on the phone with somebody a lot, but they might not actually be giving you the money or the job. So that was the analytics is, invaluable.
I'm really glad to hear that, because that was actually a big part of why we started, the concept. You know what I mean? We just talking with folks like you, it was a constant issue, right? People like, who's working, right? Which type of jobs are you bidding on? Which clients are you bidding to? Which GCs are you working with that give you the most? And we would get into it and talk to people, and we do a lot of work on the construction management end and working with their back end data. And we start looking at it and we go, yeah, that's not who's giving you your work. He's only giving you like 2 jobs in the last 4 years, But yeah,
Yeah, we're seeing guys that, we might not bid a lot of work to, but when we do bid work to them, we're winning it. And so it's, when they pop up on your bid board, you best sit down and, pay attention to them and give them the time, because you've got other people out there that they bid bomb you and you jump through hoops because you see their name all the time and they look like they're super busy, but they're not actually giving you any work. So, great. It's been awesome.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm very glad to hear that. So, hey, Rocco, like kind of on a wider basis, right? What do you find that most people who look at ZenBidTracker are saying, right? What's kind of the most interesting feature for them?
Yeah, just being able to track, because it's funny. So many people that I talk to, I start the conversation with, "Hey, how are you guys tracking your bids?" And you'd be surprised how many people just go silent, and then they're like, well, we kind of use spreadsheets, we kind of use a folder structure, but we don't really track them." So
Guilty.
yeah, right. I mean, just all the features that are in the bid tracker are hugely impressive and necessary for folks, and they're just ecstatic about it when they get their hands in it.
Yeah, it's absolutely the biggest thing, right? Because like Corey was saying, I think the ability to know, how your bids are actually doing, right? Your perception of where you are and the reality of where you are, they are not always the same. And I think it makes a huge difference when, like Corey did, right? You can look and say, hey, here are these guys who we're killing ourselves for and spending 10, 15 hours a week to bid their jobs and get them their data. And they haven't given us anything in 2 years. Why are you wasting time there where that guy, he's throwing like 20% of our work at us? We should be hustling his jobs,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the key. That's what we were shooting for. So, look, I think the important thing for us at ZenTek here as the consultants and developers who work in the construction space, it's to make sure that the systems that we put out have real world benefits to clients, right? Construction is complex enough, right? And it has so many different softwares and apps and cloud-based and SaaS systems and processes that are already in place and out there, right? That I get it. Nobody even wants to consider adding a new one unless it can be easily used and it offers a genuine benefit to their daily work. People are just tired of promises of, we're going to give this great ROI and long-term cost savings and gradient blah 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 blah, right? The salespeople got everything to say, right? But seriously, if it's not going to save you work today, right? Why are you going to bother? So Corey, I mean, how has ZenBidTracker kind of helped with the way that you work bids and estimates on an everyday basis?
So, and as I mentioned before, it's giving me the information I need, the pressure, the GCs, into giving me feedback and giving me the information I need to look back at the jobs, and if I didn't win, how could I have gotten to that winning number? So I'm dealing with electrical assemblies and different methods to electrical install and interpreting plans. So, what assemblies can I alter to reduce the labor to get me to a winning number? Or if I reach out and I shop out these materials, could I have gotten to that number? So it's helping me get the information that I need to clean up my bidding process. Before I didn't have that. And I kind of have a couple notes because I just had a conversation with a general contractor, and I was like, guys, I've sent you 26 bids in the last 9 months. It totaled a value of $5 million, and you awarded us 2 for $200,000. We appreciate that. That's awesome. And I know you didn't win 4 of them, and we were high, and we didn't take 3 of them. What's going on with the other 16? I need the feedback. Like, I need it, and now they're giving me the feedback. So now I know where I can dial in my pricing, and hopefully those 3 that I lost, because the other ones are still open and they don't know, or they didn't win them and whatnot. But those 3 that I've figured out how I could have won those jobs, and now I will next time.
Yeah, and that's it, right? The post-mortem effect, the ability to go back and see, what could I have done different so that I can do better on the next one and win more jobs? I think that alone, it's worth the price of admission. So, okay, I tell you what, folks, let's take a quick break so we can hear from today's sponsor. And when we get back, I want to kind of get Corey's feedback really on kind of the business and financial benefits that he's seen using the ZenBidTracker, all right? So stand by, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the CADDle Call Podcast. Hey, everybody. This is Jim and Rocco with ZenTek Consultants. And we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the training options that we have available here for you guys at ZenTek Consultants. We offer public training classes as well as private custom courses for all of your software and design needs. So, Rocco, why don't you tell the folks what kind of training we offer and how do they reach out to us to get it going for them?
Yeah, Jim, we cover everything from Bluebeam to Autodesk to Microsoft to BricsCAD to civil site design training and beginner through to advanced level topics. Like you said, both public and private courses. If you got a group and want to run a class specifically for your team, we can help you. So just feel free to hit our website. We're at zentekconsultants.net. That's ZenTek, or you can give us a ring, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentekconsultants.net.
There you go, ZenTek Consultants for all of your technology training need. All right, everybody, welcome back to the CADDle Call Podcast. We're talking with Corey Watson from A.S. Jones Electrical about ZenTek's ZenBidTracker tool, right? And the positives and potentially the negatives that he's seen in using them as a key component of his pre-construction processes. And in the first half, we kind of talked about some of the operational benefits, I guess, that he's been seeing in his daily use, right? And in this half of the show, I want to talk about how business and financial processes have been affected by using ZenBidTracker. So Corey, let's kind of start with what you were doing before ZenBidTracker, right? What tracking processes, I guess, were you using, and how much time and cost were you seeing when you were bidding the old way?
So we didn't really have any tracking process, like Rocco said earlier. Yeah, I'm guilty. We didn't have a method really. I would print every proposal to a PDF and I would save it in a folder named Sent Estimates. So if somebody called me to ask me about an estimate, I could find it relatively quickly, but it was just organized by the date that was sent, or just your basic file organizer that everybody has on their computer.
Yeah.
So I wasn't seeing a time or cost loss per se, because I wasn't doing anything to lose time, but I definitely know I was feeling lost opportunity. I knew I wasn't following up. I knew I wasn't getting the info, and that's why I was so drawn to this. I knew I wasn't doing it right, I guess.
Okay. That's a fair assessment. That's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, we see that in just about everybody we talk to. So you were not unusual in that approach. All right. Hey, look, the ZenBidTracker, it's our product, right? So Rocco and I, we are definitely prejudiced when we're talking about the benefits that it brings to, small, medium-sized contractors and GCs. And that's why we asked Corey to be here today, right? To kind of give, listeners an impartial judgment from a real user. And I hope it's a good one, and has been so far. Thank you. But if it's not, though, we'll make adjustments to that system. And, once Rocco's done yelling at me for putting negatives on the air. So Corey, have you actually seen benefits to your win-loss rate or your bid follow-up processes with ZenBidTracker? And I guess also, are there any limitations or issues with the product, right, that you'd want us to address in the next update?
So our win-loss rate, we had such little information before the software that I have nothing to compare it to. So I don't know. However, I do know that my win rate is hovering between 16 and 18%. So, and I'm confident in that number. So that's great to know. It's definitely helped a ton with our follow-up process. Again, as I've mentioned, but I should probably shoot out a couple emails to Dan regarding the limitations or issues that you mentioned, but they're very minute. Like on the analytics, it would be really nice if you guys could set a certain time range, so I could go in there and I could compare how did we do on last quarter, how much did we send out in the first quarter, and how much did we win, and or I could do it by year or month or whatever. Right now, it's just the total, so I don't have that option. That would be great.
Okay, so you want a time slicer that can do some comparisons. That's easy enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll make sure Dan's aware of that.
And then with the changing maybe some of the status titles or edit them, because we kind of have different like words that we would like to use.
Okay.
And then a notes section.
Ooh, I like that.
When I follow up, I'd like to be right on the bid tracker, like put a note, called them, they didn't hear back yet. It's just right there.
Yeah, see, and that's, I love that. So please do email all that to Dan. I'll make sure he listens to this and I'll talk to him. But that's the kind of stuff, like I said, even beyond the beta, right? And all the other users out there who are listening, when you guys have ideas, please just shoot them to us. We want this product to keep growing and changing and meeting your needs. So we're always, all over, better ways of making this useful for everybody. So, all right, that's good to know. So yeah, and I hope, I'm positive, right? By next year, right? Once you've been using it for a full year, you should be able to go in and look and see like, hey, did we move up from that 16 to 18%, right? Next year, are we at 2024? That would be a great thing. We'll have to have you back on next year, see how you did after a full year of using it.
Oh yeah, definitely have to do a follow up on it, because I'd like to see that number go up and focus our energy on the contractors that are giving us the work, and hopefully recognizing new contractors' value. So having the time to bid to them. So I definitely think we're going to see it go up.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. So, hey, Rocco, with those kind of benefits, right? The all the stuff that Corey's been talking about, right? I gotta imagine that listeners who are listening, all right, kind of repetitive to say it that way, but the folks out there are wondering, right, about what is the cost of ZenBidTracker, right? And how can they test it out for themselves and see if it fits for them, right? Why don't you tell them about that?
Yeah, so it's $50 a month. And it's pay as you go, so we don't lock into a kind of long contract. And look, Jim wanted me to be fancy here. I just wanted to give you guys the web address to go to. Just go to ZenTekConsultants.net. But Jim told me, no, you got to give him the fancy address.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can get it here, Jim. So the demo site is ZenBid.up. No, ZenBidUp.web.app. Did I get that right?
Yep, ZenBidUp.web.app is the demo.
And ZenBidTracker.web.app if you actually want to make the purchase and get cranking with it.
There you go. Simple enough stuff. Or like I said, you can always hit our website. We get all the write-ups and all the good marketing stuff. And we even have a video on there of Corey doing a kind of a client demo video for us, showing like, hey, talking about his experiences with it. So that's also something else he did for us, which is on the website. You guys can check that out. So look, construction, it's a really small industry in a very big world, right? And word of mouth and recommendations from friendly competitors, it's kind of how most of us live, right? Especially in the tech space. There's so much software out there that it can be overwhelming for us to try and sort out like, what's worth the time investing in and what do we just pass on? And I think that's particularly true with something like, pre-con bid tracking, right? We all have processes in place, whether they're effective or not, but we do have processes to handle this already at some level. So you got to ask, why do you want to incorporate yet another tool that's going to complicate my workload? So Corey, what would you say to other contractors, right, who are kind of relying on their traditional tracking processes, but are maybe considering the bid tracker as an alternative?
I'd probably just let them know, like, I understand the time crunch that we have in this industry. We're being requested for quick turnaround pricing. Our quotes aren't coming in to the last minute, and the next job always needs to be sent out. So taking on another workload, like you said, and trying to learn something new, it's tough. But however, this is very simple. You can learn it quick. I would just say get the software, upload your last 3 months maybe of the bids into the system, update all of your project statuses and just click the analytics button. It's going to be eye-opening. You're going to see the value right there. It's very simple. So if you can do that on the demo, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a good, I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't think to mention that. But yeah, you can actually just bulk upload all of your current bids that you have out and all your current clients that you deal with just from an Excel file. So it's very, very easy to just populate that, push it up, and get the analytics in like 5 minutes. You're all set to go. So cool. So look, as always, whenever we have a guest on, I like to let them tell us about something that I didn't think to ask them. So Corey, from your end, what else should our listeners be thinking of in terms of, bid tracking or pre-con processes that we didn't get into today?
I'm not really sure. I think we covered, a good array of things, but as a sub, we're putting a lot of, or I'm a sub, but even as a contractor dealing with a client, we're putting a ton of time into bidding these projects. So I would just recommend use the software, know your analytics, and put pressure on your GCs to give you your feedback, and use that feedback to win jobs and focus your energy on the GCs. And this software will help you do it, or it at least will get you organized enough to be able to do it. Yeah. I think that's that follow up, talking to other general contractors and subcontractors. It seems to be the area that everybody's kind of lacking in. So we're always running off to the next one. So take the time and check on those old ones, because they're looking for people to do the work. So
yeah, I think that's really, I think, to my mind, the key focus for why we built it and why you were such a great fit, right, to work with and partner with in the beta structure is, it goes back to the idea that, what's the definition of insanity, right? It's performing the same acts over and over again, hoping for a different result. And that's what all of us do, right? We're so big, like you said, jumping from job to job to job, to take a moment, look at what were the results, and say, hey, I don't have information on these 5 or 6 projects that I bid. Let me go get some feedback. And then say, okay, I could have, if I had changed this, or if I had done that, or if it had been a little bit lower, a little bit tighter, you start to refine your process. And it, in our mind, that was the whole purpose, right? It's gotta win you more work.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see it. Like you said, if we jump back into this in a year and have another conversation, I can guarantee you we're going to see more wins on this board.
Yeah, and that's it. Just gives you the info you need. Perfect. All right, folks. So with that, we are going to get out of here. But I want to thank Corey one more time, right? Just not for just being a guest on the show today, which was great, but he's a long-term partner who really, Corey, you went above and beyond in helping us define the scope of what ZenBidTracker could do and what it should do. And we truly, genuinely appreciate all the help that you've given to us, sir.
Yeah, no, you guys have been awesome. Your whole team, from helping me out with other softwares and helping me with subscriptions, and now this, I couldn't, I'm looking forward to the future with working with you guys, and I appreciate it just as much.
Awesome. All right, folks, with that, we're going to get out of here, but we'll catch you next time on the CADDle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's CADDle Call was brought to you courtesy of ZenTek Consultants. That's Rocco and I. ZenTek Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. ZenTek strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to ZenTek?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentekconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentekconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.